welcome back to Game Galaxy, and I just wanted to quickly talk about Telltale Games and their studio closure or downsizing of the company, and what that means to me, how I feel about it, and just a few thoughts I want to talk about, and especially about their business model. I don't know if anybody from Telltale is ever going to see this video, but I kind of wish they would, and they would hear out this one thing I have to say regarding their business model, which I don't know if it hurt them at all, but I'm just speaking from my personal experience. Now, number one point, I love Telltale Games. I love the style of what they do. You guys know me. You know I love cinematic, story-driven narrative games. And nobody was doing that much like Telltale. And Telltale really was kind of bringing back the old days of point-and-click adventure games, but making it somehow action-y. And I have to say, I've bought quite a few of Telltale Games, and I tried when possible to buy the games brand new as to support them, but I do know, I feel like there's a few of them that I bought used that now, hearing this news, I regret. But my first experience, I think my very first Telltale game that I played was the Tales of Monkey Island, because I grew up on LucasArts adventure games. So hearing that this studio was possibly, I don't know if I'm making this up, but this studio was possibly started or employed some of those classic game creators from the old LucasArts days, and then they were able to get their hands on that classic franchise of Monkey Island and bring it back with Tales of Monkey Island. I was all about that, and I remember buying them and just going through each one of them and thoroughly enjoying it. It was a good Monkey Island game. Whether you love or hated the voice of Guybrush, I thought it was very important that they hired the same voice actor, and it kept the flow of Monkey Island, and it was absolutely fantastic. And then it was the next Telltale game that I played a couple years later, I believe I played in 2013, that's when I realized they're doing something special. And that game was The Walking Dead, the Telltale Walking Dead game that they did. And this was released on a multitude of platforms. I played it on the PlayStation 3 version here, but this game, not only was I a fan of the show, the comics, the whole world of Walking Dead, but this game, there are going to be no spoilers that I'm going to say, but this game I have attributed to being one of the pillars of great writing in video games. I always point to this, and I tell people that, like, there's been great writing throughout the years, but this game also was one that really could make an argument that video games were starting to have writing on par with other mediums, such as films, books, movies, mangas, anything. It was on par. I thought the writing in this game was absolutely incredible. It kept you wanting to, like, turn the page, as it were, as if you were reading a graphic novel. And, that is, the ending of the game was so impactful. I just remember, like, being blown away. I was blown away. The ending was powerful, it was emotional, and I was like, what incredible writing that was in this game. And so obviously that's when I became a super Telltale fan. And I've played The Walking Dead seasons 1 and 2. I have fallen behind here, and I need to play season 3. And then I know the current one is going on right now, or maybe it's in jeopardy in this closing. I'm not sure. Please fill me in, because I haven't read a few articles about what's going to happen about the future of The Walking Dead game. But a reason I fell behind is my next point that I mentioned that I wish somebody at Telltale or the management could hear me say, and that's the business model. I like that these games are broken up into the chapters of usually 5 chapters, because I live a busy life, so it's fun to know that it's like, okay, this Saturday I'm going to play 1 chapter. They're usually about 3 hours long, so that's great. You can either choose to, like, binge it and, like, I want to do the next one too, or hey, that's great, I feel like I accomplished something, I'll do the next episode next week or something. However, I am also in that same right where I like those small chunks. I'm not a fan of the monthly, 3 or 4 months in between releases of that thing. Episodic releases, I guess is the short way to say it. I'm not a fan of, because what happens is when Telltale's making a game, or even like Life is Strange, for example, any game that's going to have an episodic thing, I will not buy it at the forefront. I will wait to the end until I can buy a disc or a collection of all the episodes, because in the event that I want to get into it, I want to be able to like go on to the next story right away. I'm a kind of person that likes to I have a lot of games. I've got a lot of backlog, right? I like to focus on one game at a time. If I'm playing it, I play it. So I was never down with the idea of playing a chapter and then not playing it for 3 months and then coming back and like, oh yeah, where was I in the story? What were my emotional connections with these characters? And so I will wait. But what's happened now is that they're on the 4th season, correct, of the Walking Dead, and I still haven't picked up the 3rd game yet because it's slipped off my radar. It's something I would like to do, absolutely. I want to see the continuation of Clementine's story. But I think the episodic releases for me is what killed it, and I really wonder how much that impacts their sales. If there's other people like me that's happened to, that they would prefer to wait for all the episodes to be out, and then maybe it slips off their radar, or they don't get to it further down the line until the game is either highly discounted or they find it in a bargain bin used, which doesn't help their bottom line. And so I just would urge the future of people who want to make games in this fashion, and you want to do episodic's cool, but I don't think you should do it in an episodic type release, especially in this regard where now you have a company closing or laying off 90% of its workforce, and you have a project left in the ether. So I don't know if they're going to finish the latest Walking Dead. They better. Like, that would absolutely suck, man, like to not get a fully finish to that. But it was fun how much properties they were making great things of. I bought the Game of Thrones game. I haven't played it yet. I know my wife did, but I was also sad to hear that Stranger Things was a project and a property they were going to make a game of, and then now that's going to be canceled. Like, are you kidding me? I just watched Stranger Things 1 and 2 this year, a few months ago, and I was blown away, and I hated that I waited so long. A game of that environment and that world would have been so awesome. So it's really a pain, and I'm really surprised that nobody is coming in and swooping in to buy or absorb Telltale Games or fund them. I feel like everybody loves what they do, unless I'm mistaken. But I'm surprised nobody pulls in, or like Sony doesn't pull in, or Microsoft, or whoever wants to buy them, just not EA, right? So yeah, I don't know if any of you know of any more than I do, other than what I'm saying or reacting to. Please let me know. But it sucks, man. I hope that somehow they can come through this, or some studio can buy them and fund them, and they can flourish back up, because they made really great projects. Sometimes maybe it was the illusion of choice in a linear type thing, but The Walking Dead, absolutely. For anyone who hasn't played The Walking Dead Telltale Games, it has nothing to do with the shows or the comic at all. It just lives in that world, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm not going to know characters. It's its own thing, but it's highly, I suggest doing it. The writing is impeccable, and I really like the art style that it does. So, I have a lot of Telltale games to still play, Wolf Among Us being one of them, and it's a shame, man. It's always sucks when a good studio goes under, man. I hope it can be saved. That's all I can say. But I will say this. I've said it 3 times now. Episodic releases, I don't think, is a good idea for any kind of media. I don't. So let me know what you guys think. Do you disagree with me about episodic releases? Do you think it should continue that way and that's a great business model? I just think if you're telling a narrative story and you want people to emotionally connect to it, I feel like you ruin that connection by disjointing it and making people wait. So that's my 2 cents. So thanks very much for watching. If you stayed with me, let me know your thoughts on this. If you like Telltale, if you hate Telltale Games, and you're happy by this, I don't know. I don't think you should be happy about people losing their jobs anyway. But yeah, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.